Hello again, and welcome back to AGRC 213, Computers and Technology in Agriculture. This rather short video will cover the content that we will be discussing in Excel Module 2. I've again set up a sample spreadsheet here, and obviously this one doesn't have much information or data on it, so this one should be rather quick to cover. One of the things that we get into when we talk about Excel is that obviously utilizing the mathematical functions that it provides to you is really a benefit to using spreadsheets and being able to maximize their functionality. So it's important to understand that the pre-written formulas that Excel has already in them are what we call functions. You'll find those if we go to the Formulas tab up here at the top. For example, the sum or average or max or min. There's all kinds of other analyses that can be found here. Also, you can enter your own formula. It's what you do whenever you write your own formula into a cell. So, and get used to doing that because you will often have to do that in order to complete a spreadsheet that you're designing on your own. There isn't necessarily always going to be a function out there. Another place to look for those functions is right here if you click the insert function button in the formula bar. So as we get to it, one of the things to remember, and it's a key point to introduce this as we get ready to utilize both functions and formulas, is that order of operations is really critical. If you go back to basic math class, when you were taught about order of operations, once math started to get a little bit more complex, when they utilized percents and exponents and so on and so forth, that comes into play here as well. And it's really critical that you understand the order of operations and how they influence how Excel does the math. So I'll call your attention specifically to these first two rows of data that I've got here. I've got in these cells, in this range right here, I have 8, 3, and 2 identical data points, but they have completely different answers. And that is primarily due to the order of operations in which I've set up in the formula. So if you look up in the formula bar, up here I have equal sign. Again, anytime you put an equal sign in the formula bar, it's going to tell Excel that a formula is coming. So I have equal sign D7, that's this cell, the 8 cell, times E7, that's 3, plus F7, that's 2, so that should be $26. Now if we go down to the next cell, now I've taken and put parentheses in there. So I'm multiplying 8 times the sum of 3 plus 2, which is of course 5, so that's $40. So a completely different answer when you look at the answers, completely different answers, but the same numbers go into creating that answer. So it's important that you understand the order of operations. And just a reminder, the order of operations that Excel utilizes is parentheses, and then percents, and then exponents, then multiply, division, addition, subtraction. So again, remember those from basic math. So anytime, and this is just good practice that I try and use, anytime that I am in question, I utilize parentheses in order to make sure that it's doing it in order that I want it to accomplish the mathematical formula. Okay, another way to enter formulas is we're going to put a sum in here and total up these 3 data points that we have, $26, $40, and $81. And we're going to enter that using point mode. So I again put enter into that cell. I'm going to point to cell G7 and hit addition, hit the plus sign, and then G8, and we'll add G9. That's what we call, and go ahead and hit enter. That enters our formula. Again, the answer is a little bit too wide here for the cell that we have set up, so we'll go ahead and open that up so you can see that the product there is $147. That's what we call point mode. Remember, utilize the fill handle anytime that you find that might be beneficial and help you out. Also, we can utilize the average, max, and min functions. Really simple. Whenever you go up here, those are found because they're commonly used under that auto sum button up here to the right. So if we want to do the average, max, and min, so we could do the average, and it'll give us a range here option. Let's do the average of those 3 data points that we looked at earlier, and we just hit enter, and the average is $49. We could also ask it to find the maximum of those 3 data points. Whoop. See, make mistakes really easy here. And all I'll do is go back and I will fix my range. You see how easy it is to change your range. So we look for the maximum, and then of course we could search for the minimum. Same thing. Now, lots of you are going to look at this and say, well, that's really, really easy. I don't really need to use an average, max, and min function there. I could just look at it and type it in, and you certainly could. Again, we can put some headers in here so we remember what we're looking at. But keep in mind that in a rather large spreadsheet, doing analysis in Excel, that's going to create the opportunity for a mistake. And especially once you get into editing that spreadsheet, it's going to create the opportunity for a mistake. So I will encourage you, again, use formulas whenever possible. If you ever want to check what range it's referencing, just kind of like you saw in my mistake there for a little bit, is double click on the formula and it will highlight the range from which it's referencing. So if you ever come up with an incorrect answer while you're entering formulas, go back and check those out and make sure you're referencing the correct range. We'll just hit escape to get back out of there. As you notice, I have 2 different formatting functions here with the $sign. And one is called a fixed $sign and one is called a floating $sign. Whenever you format a cell in accounting format, that will always be a fixed $sign. The $sign will sit to the left edge of the cell. Anytime you format a cell on currency up here in the number formatting section, that is what we call a floating $sign. So it just depends on what you prefer or whom you're reporting to in your spreadsheet, how they might want to see it. The last little function that I've added in here, and you'll see that the $81 is highlighted in pink. I've set up a conditional formatting situation here on those cells. See if I can show it to you here. Let me move myself out of the way. So I ask it to check these 3 cells, and any cell that was greater than 50, I ask it to highlight pink. And we'll just hit OK. That's OK. We'll leave it as it is. What that's doing is creating a way visually for you to be able to very quickly go in and pick out pieces of data that meet a certain criterion. For example, a really good application example of this might be you've created an Excel spreadsheet that manages your that looks at your bank accounts, and you have different account numbers or different account lines, and you want to know really easily every time an account line dips below $100, for example. You could set conditional formatting to tell you as that data flows in and out of the Excel spreadsheet, which account lines drop below that $100, so you knew to take action upon that. That would be a really good example of utilizing conditional formatting in a way that will help you more visually and easily find key pieces of data. Or let's say that you were analyzing, a bunch of test plot data for a variety of soybeans, and you wanted to know which three varieties were above 80 bushels average. And you could set conditional formatting in Excel to go find those and highlight them for you, make it really easy to find. Or it'll highlight them or format those numbers, those cells in a different way. So you'll be practicing conditional formatting in this section. So that wraps up really quickly the key items that you'll be practicing in Excel Module 2. In addition, you'll be doing some additional charting functions. You'll be starting to add some complexity to things that you learned in Excel Module 1. As always, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to post those in the Ask the Instructor discussion forum, or catch me in class, shoot me an email, text message, phone call, whatever you like. Thanks for watching.